We, of course, have NBA is kind of, this is their time, if you will. The football, obviously, we'll get some moves here, there, some trades, but this is the NBA's time.
Mm-hmm.
And with the All-Star weekend coming about and happening, we get a lot of conversations coming for that, where they're asked questions, they're asked, their thoughts on things, and we just start to get some great, interesting articles. Rob G, we got one from somebody who was the general manager of LeBron when he was a Cleveland Cavalier and had some interesting thoughts about that run that they had together.
That's right. David Griffin, blast from the past. You might not know about him now, but for a hot second, he was a big deal in the NBA. He was the GM for about 8 seasons there in Cleveland, smack dab during the middle of that second LeBron stint. I believe he got there right after LeBron left. So he saw the buildup with Kyrie and being bad and all these situations. So eventually LeBron shows up, Kevin Love shows up. We're in the finals every year. Now, things didn't end well for him. He ended up going to New Orleans and didn't end well with them there either, and I think he's out of a gig now. But he did a podcast with a Cleveland sports network before the All-Star break to discuss Cleveland sports, namely this current Cavs team. They just got James Harden, Keon Ellis, Dennis Schroeder. They're looking to make a move in the Eastern Conference. And during the course of the conversation, of course, he's most known for that Cavs run with LeBron. A lot of it was talking about what that run was like, what it was like in the moment, the trades they made to get there. Again, they acquired J.R. Smith, they got Iman Shumpert. And during the course of the conversation, Griff said something that had the old internet buzzing over the weekend. Take a listen.
Assessment of the current state of the Cavs.
One of the things that we really benefited from was we were in a historically bad Eastern Conference. And all through those years, we really knew the target is the Western Conference team. There was nobody in the East who was really going to be in the way.
Yeah, right. The East was the LeBron Invitational for all of those years.
That now.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I think people need to appreciate a little bit more is Kobe is doing what he's doing, and this Cavs team with Donovan is trying to do what they're doing in a Eastern Conference that's significantly more competitive than what we had. So just making the finals will be significant.
Wow. I actually have a differing point of view. So I think what he said is factual.
Yep.
I think it was the Leastern Conference. I think for maybe 15 years, plus or minus a couple, I think it was very top heavy.
Yes.
You'd have the Pistons for a handful of years, and the Boston Celtics, KG, and those guys, and then you got LeBron, the Cavs, and you had the Bulls for a couple of years with D Rose, and then,
yes.
Yeah. So every year, couple of years, you have a team or two up top, max maybe 3. But the rest of that, I would agree, it was the Leastern Conference for sure. But here's my bigger picture on that. I don't dispute that. What I've said for years was, what's interesting to me is the opportunity that LeBron would have had he went to the Western Conference. Here's what I mean, Kerry. There was about a 12, 14-year period where we all agree LeBron's best player, 1 or 2. If you want to say Kobe for a couple of years, you want to say, okay, right there.
Yep.
Superpower years. And I've always said that, man, I hear people in the Leastern Conference. There's no denying that. But if LeBron James went to the Western Conference during that run, that 2006, 7-ish to, 2016-ish, 18-ish, something like that. Let's say he was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to the West.
Yeah.
If I'm pairing that version of LeBron James with Kobe Bryant, because let's say he was a Laker. Let's say he was a Laker. Let's say he was with that Lob City team. Let's say he was with that Memphis Grizzly team with Zebo and Marc Gasol, and now you had a LeBron and Mike Conley. Let's say he was a Spur, Kerry Rhodes. Let's say he was with Steve Nash in that iteration of the Suns and Amari Stoudemire and those guys.
Are you ever going to get the Dallas Mavericks here? Just go.
Let's say he was a Dallas Maverick with Dirk and Jason Kidd and Sean Marion and Jason Terry. Yeah. My point is, I don't think there's debating that the Eastern Conference was the Leastern for some time.
Yeah.
What would have been remarkable was if LeBron would have went to the West, and to me, he would not have gone to 10 or 11 finals. I think he would have only gone anywhere between 4 to 7. Mm-hmm. But what would have happened was he might have been 5-0. He might have been 5-1. He might have been 6-0, 6-1, 5-2. My point is, He wouldn't have gone as many times because he would have had to get through the other teams that we mentioned, right? If he goes with the Mavericks, well, he got to get through Kobe and the Spurs. And so he goes to the Spurs, well, he got to get through Lakers and us. He would have gotten there eventually because the teams would have just been too good with him.
Yeah.
And he would not have lost to an Eastern Conference team. Or if he did, he would have lost once. You know what I mean? If he goes 5 times, he's 4-1. And that might have been interesting for his narrative.
Yep.
That if
Yep.
LeBron was sitting here, I only won 4, but I'm 4-0. And I still have all this longevities and the records, and I'm breaking all this stuff. Or I'm 5-0. And I'm not Jordan 6-0, but maybe I'm 5-1 or I'm 6-1.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he would have gone as many. He would have. I've always said, as much as I always tell you, you were right about the East. I think it would have been crazy had he went to the West because he would have got on a team that would have been insane. You know, there's about 8 or 9 teams during that iteration where he would, if you pair him with them, whew, okay.
Man, you could have paired.
Am I crazy?
No, you're not. I actually like that take. It's very interesting. I mean, he could have went to Houston with the James Harden and those teams. That would have been crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Because what we saw, real quick, Kerry,
Yeah.
what we've seen with LeBron in his prime was as long as he has a guy with him, Kyrie,
Yeah.
D Wade,
Yep.
Anthony Davis, and then the surrounding guys, the 3-and-D, Iman Shumpert, as Rob G mentioned, some other guys, J.R. Smith, and so on.
Yeah.
And obviously, you get to the Laker version of it with Caruso and Kuzma and all that. Then you had a great chance to get into the finals and possibly winning. So I always look at it as, man, he would have been loaded if he went to Western Conference.
Yeah, 100%. The thing that I hate and the thing that I get from this story for me is we talked about it, like these podcasts and all these opportunities to talk and bash people for me, right? There's no way David Griffin should be talking about that situation when LeBron brought him a ring. Or what he's really saying is he didn't do a great job either. Because at the end of the day, they go hand in hand. So you're trying to put blame on LeBron or you're trying to put blame on whoever or take away from what they achieved or whatever it is. You're saying the same thing about yourself. And I don't think people understand that when they go this route of trying to bash him. Obviously, I think he's the second best player of all time behind Michael Jordan, and that's where I stand. But the bashing of him here lately, I know that he's outrun his course. I know he's outlived his stay because all those things are true. You play long enough, you stay around long enough, you're going to become the villain, right? That's just kind of what it is. But when these people like your GM or former players leak these stories about, certain things or, the bad stuff about this person, because we praise him so much, I think now when the pendulum swings, it's all the negative stuff. But coming from a GM and coming from David Griffin, when he came back to Cleveland to be with you, to help you form this team, and now
despite what they said when he left, keep that in mind.
Exactly.
The way the ownership treated him.
Now you're bashing him and talking about it's the Leastern Conference. Well, you're a Leastern GM as well, if that's the case. You know what I mean? Like there's layers to this thing that people, when they get on these podcasts, they forget to mention. Like he was a part of that.
Well, and you could argue if this was the Leastern Conference, why couldn't we accomplish more for the Cavs? Right?
And
You would say, well, couldn't you guys have one more before he came?
Exactly.
And eventually came back. They didn't pair him with in my opinion, a lot back then. You had Booby Gibson, you had Ilgauskas, you had Mo Williams.
Yeah.
And I mean, those weren't great pairings, to compete. But again, I totally get the sentiment that the Eastern Conference for a very large period of time wasn't that spectacular. I don't disagree with that, but that's why I've always said, man, I hear when people have those points, I go, you're right, I get it. That's why, to me, it would have been more remarkable. Let me throw a couple of things at you, though, what I think people might find interesting.
Yeah.
You know what LeBron was versus the Western Conference when he was a Cav?
And
go ahead. When he was a Cav,
Uh-huh.
the first stint, he won 59% of his games versus the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. This is what the first stint of the Cavs. Mm-hmm. The first stint. Well, that wasn't that great, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You want to know what he was that second stint, which was 2014 to 2018?
What's that?
73% of the games he won.
So what you're telling me is
I find it interesting
go ahead.
that the Western Conference. Well, he was with some Cavs teams that were either or okay, that's good, that's solid, and was winning. Overall, his total as a Cavalier. This is through the good times, rookies, bad, good, ugly, great, all that.
Yeah.
64% of the games he played against the Western Conference he won.
Yeah. I mean,
That's it. That's while he was with the Cavs. I didn't say while he was with Lob
Yeah,
City,
of course.
or with the Spurs, or with Kobe, or with the Mavericks and Dirk and everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, hear me out, because then they're gonna say, "Oh, you glaze," which is so funny. I always tell Raji the funniest part. I sit up here and bash LeBron probably 6 to 7 out of the 10 conversations we have. Raji is my witness, but it's called confirmation bias. The one time or two times I say something, then they'll say, "Oh, LeBron." I will sit up here all day. I don't like that he does this. I don't like that he's passive aggressive. I don't like the way he
I'm the same. Yeah.
have his son go down. I think his son should have just stayed in the G League.
Yeah.
I don't like the way his approach to this. I wish he would play in the post more. I don't understand why he does so. But they won't hear that. But I just find this interesting. 64% of his games against the Western Conference he won. And that is, again, the beginning years to the end. And 73% that year when he came back, when he had Kyrie with him. They won 73. That's kind of crazy.
It also don't help that you coach with Rob Parker.
Say it again.
It doesn't help that you coach. Like anything that you do, you're going to be seen as LeBron positive because he's always negative.
He's so negative.
Just like if Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
If Dub says anything critical of Lamar Jackson, he is viewed as the Lamar Jackson hater.
Which what I said the
because
entire
Rob
time I've been on
loves
the show.
Lamar Jackson. He's the only guy not named Aaron that Lamar loves, or that Rob loves.
Rob loves. And Rob G, what have I said about Lamar Jackson since I've been the first day on this show? What have I said?
You think he's the best player in football?
He's the best player in football. Kerry. That's what I said year in, year out now, 2 football seasons. But boy, if I'm critical, that's what I've learned. That's what I've learned about people. Boy, you either can't be critical of somebody that you say you like. For instance, big time fan of J. Cole. Not the biggest fan of this last album.
Okay.
But now you're a hater. So it's boy, we are in a 0-sum game. You can't be critical. I think he is one of the best rappers ever. I think he's so this, so that. But I'm not biggest fan. I think if he was going to do that version, he did this version better years ago. Albums like Friday Night. You a hater,
Right, Kelvin. Kelvin, you already know. You walk in this room with Rob. First thing he's going to say to you is, "You got to be on one side. You can't toe the fence." And that's that's the part of it as well.
No, you cannot be you can't be critical. You can't be astute and bad. Like I like this person, but I don't like this.
You can't have nuance. You can't have nuance.
Heck no.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just found that interesting against the Western Conference Semifinals. 877-99 on Fox. David Griffin had a lot to say about LeBron and their run together, calling it the Leastern Conference. All right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts, and while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share, do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.